Members, welcome. Can I welcome you all to this November meeting of Colne Town Council? Have we got any apologies?
Yeah, I've got apologies from Councillor Lord, Councillor Howarth and Councillor Sarah Coburn-Price.
Okay, we'll accept those apologies. Declaration of interest. Is there anything on the agenda tonight which anyone has any interest in? No, thank you. Item 4 is minutes of the meeting. Yes, Neil? Right, thank you. Has anybody any issues with them? No? Public forum. We don't have anyone here from the public, but we have invited Reverend Andy Froud from Christchurch to talk about a proposed Pendle Festival of Health. Thank you. Andy, if you would like to.
Thank you very much. I'd like to invite somebody to I don't speak very long, about 5 minutes.
Yes.
That's why I'm on all sermon. So, how's that? Is that any better? It is. It's for the Zoom.
Yes.
So my name is Andrew Froud. I am and I have been since January the vicar of Fulridge, Chawden and Lancashire Bridge. I'm also a canon of Blackburn Cathedral. My interest in health, I suppose, partly comes from the fact that I'm now 4 years older than my father was when he died. My brother is 13 years older than me, so we congratulate each other on an almost daily basis on simply being alive. But life, of course, is more than being just alive. 1993, I was just walking around, minding my own business, and had a really bad back pain, which incapacitated me for months. And as a result of that, I had physiotherapy and I do the exercises, and I decided that being fit is on balance a lot better than being unfit and being in pain if you've got a choice. And the third interest I have is that for 10 years, I was part-time chaplain in the NHS. And I'm very passionate about the NHS. I believe that it's one of the best things about our country, and we need to do our bit to help the NHS. And the best way to help the NHS is staying fit and healthy as far as we can ourselves. The idea of a festival of health is one that we've been discussing at the Pendle Deanery. That's the meeting for the clergy, and we've passed it on to the lay people now. People are generally enthusiastic about it because we all like the idea of being healthy. The problem is, of course, that lots of things stand in the way, don't they? What are the obstacles, do you think, to us being healthy? Oh, direct over to yourselves. Any ideas? What stops? Money. Income is a big factor in terms of health outcomes, as you say. Yeah, Ian, you're going to say. Mindset, absolutely mindset. People get into the mindset, think, I am sick, I can't do anything about it. Isolation. Sorry? Exercise, really important. Again, we had a very interesting conversation just before we came in. Is it all about physical health? No, it's not. It's all about physical health, mental health, and dare I say, for me, spiritual health as well. They all go together. I feel better because I feel physically well, and I feel better because if I can help other people to feel better, that also helps me feel better. There is a community dimension to this that I think is really important. So why Colne? Well, I'm here now. Colleague of mine in Lancaster ran a very successful festival of health before the pandemic, and it's just getting back going again. All sorts of things we are hoping not to actually do, not to put on new stuff, but really to help people be aware of how much is going on in this area already. I just had a little visit down to the leisure centre this morning, and a chap called Sean, who's the manager down there, showed me around. Fantastic facilities. Quite busy, I have to say, but of course, we can make them busier. So many things that are already going on, support groups, walking groups, you name it. But just getting people, get that attitude, I can do something, to do something more, and use 1 week in September to really celebrate everything that's going on and try and encourage more people to take part. That is 4 minutes. So you've got 1 minute to ask me any questions you want to ask.
I've got a
any
question.
input.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is that a lot of people are isolated,
Yes.
and it's trying to find those people and draw them out, which they might be quite scared of if they've been alone and unsupported for a long time. So have you got ideas that you can do that?
No, I think that's a very important demographic. And it's true of all the sectors that I work across. You know, in schools, we have hard to reach parents. In church, we have people that we know are housebound and isolated. Yeah, they are really important demographics. So I'll make a note and make them really central to what we're trying to do. Yeah, good point. Thank you.
Any other questions for Andy? Yes, Neil.
I have an offer.
Offer. That was the other thing I'm after. Neil, please. Yeah.
So, my name's Neil, by the way. My beloved wife was a care home manager. She gained her angel wings 5 years ago. So I set up a group, and we looked at it's called Friends Up, and people go, older people in the care home, go into the care home,
Yes.
listen to the people. I used to drive them around on Tuesday and Thursday, but now we have an old gentleman who loves it. And we've also formed a group. It's called Tina Marie Brennan Singers. So what I do is, even in COVID, we used to get a gazebo outside the care home and sing to the people at the windows.
Yeah.
And we carry on that. We're doing Belvedere on the 9th of December. So if you know anybody that wants a free group of singers, maybe one or two, I don't pester them all.
Yeah.
And we come, and all we require for payment is a bacon butty and a cup of tea.
Wow. Awesome.
And these are professional singers. You get the odd clown in there. That's me. That sings a little bit. But the offer's there. If anybody wants any, entertainment, I can provide it.
Thank you very much for that, Neil. That's a great offer.
Yeah.
And singing, again, it's a communal activity. It brings people together. There's real
They
health
tend
benefits.
to run when I sing.
There's a health benefit for you. Yeah.
I've got Patricia that would like to ask you a
Oh,
question.
Patricia, behind it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. At the moment, I'm with, I'm part of a mental health craft group, which is here in the Corn Library. Unfortunately, it closes in 3 weeks' time, but we are hoping to get it carried on. But mental health exercise, likes of being involved in craft groups or things like that. That is another way of being, within your festival of health, because active mind, it brings people up, because a lot of people have what we call non-physical incapacities, such as anxiety and depression. You get them out of that, you get them into groups where they can meet and mingle and do things. That will be help. So if you can work something like that, that'd be great. As I say, our group is actually closing in 3 weeks' time after the 12 weeks, but we have been told that there is going to be follow-ons as well. But what I will try and do once I get the information, I will try and pass it on to you.
Please do. Yeah, my email address is all over the internet. So andyfroud@gmail.com.
Oh, we've got Ian's got a. Are you going to talk about the Citadel? No. All right. Okay.
Because there's a lot of people say, look, what's the problem? There are so many different groups helping out. There's so many agencies, etc. The major issue is they're not talking to each other very rarely. And I can go back to the 2000s. There was a grassroots forum set up by Pendle for various agencies, etc. And at the first meeting, I asked everybody to write down what agencies, their agency, if you want, knew about. And they all made the list, and we talked about it, put it on the board. And the average number of agencies that people were aware of was 8. What stunned them was that there were 40 agencies listed for Pendle. They knew 8 out of 40. That's sad. And I think a festival of health can actually be useful so that we can bring these groups together so they can all be aware of each other and all sing from the same hymn sheet instead of doing their own little thing and failing. And I think that's a major problem. They do some successes, but without this holistic approach, it's doomed to failure.
Thank you.
Just a-
Oh, yes, Brian, Brian. Brian.
You read my mind. At the moment, I don't know. We were talking about this before the meeting. It is at the moment very vague. What one thing we're definite is he's going to be in September. September is like a new year for people. Older children go away to university. Younger children, you miss that time when you're at the school gates. It's almost like a mini new year, but hopefully a time when people will make a resolution that will stick. In terms of funding, we're looking for fairly minimal funding. It'll be publicity. It is really about publicising these groups. Really a good idea to maybe have some sort of forum to bring people together. Yeah, watch this space. I'll come back with a list of demands in terms of what we're looking for. But I imagine that it will be fairly minimal because the only in-person event that we would be looking at would be some things like a freshers fair. If you've been to university, you know, the beginning of the university life, everybody goes, yeah, well, yeah, we may have had mixed experiences of that, but a chance for people to showcase what they're doing and maybe big taster events, you know, Tai Chi in the park or whatever to you know, just get people interested, give them that little nudge and whoever it was to talk about motivation. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I've got Councillor Clamp David there who wants to.
Yeah, if you're talking about events and things in the park, we're actually there at the moment with the bowling club, the Philip Wright Crown Green Bowling Club. We have on a Thursday, we have a thing called Fun at Bowls, and we cater for people with learning disabilities. We have stroke patients. We have people with disability. We have 7 wheelchairs, and which allow, you won't find another bowling green round here that allows people to use wheelchairs. 3 of them are motorised so that they can actually be independent and wheel themselves around. Otherwise, we put them in groups of 4 and one of our members wheels them around. But we're providing all these facilities. Anybody you feel that could be recommended to us, we would love to take them on. We've just done the same for the National Health. We've just told Airedale and Burnley that we exist, and if they've got people that want to come and want to have a go, we have 7 coaches and at least 7 volunteers.
Fantastic. And
So
Thursday afternoon?
that's a Thursday afternoon. The only problem with your September is depending how late in September you go, the greens are shutting. And so we'll be near the end of the season, but that doesn't mean we couldn't use them for the year after. That we will be there for a long while to come.
Good to know. Thank you.
You know, we have the facilities, and we'd love them to come and join us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Got Howard.
Thank you. The only following on from Brian's question, flying the ointment, is we're only allowed to spend money in car. In the town councils, within the town council's boundaries.
Yeah.
But I would suggest you go and chat up Fulridge and Trawden and anybody else as well.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going
And Nelson Town Council.
Well, yes, yes.
They've got lots of money.
That's not to say that we can't help with publicity, because that really is
Yeah.
not spending much, is it?
No, no.
Just
Neil.
a quick one.
Yes.
Just a quick one. Have you spoke to Alex? Because he
Oh, yes, yes.
he'll be coming late, not today, but he'll be coming to one of these meetings to ask for some money as well.
Oh, right.
So if you could phone it.
Oh, we are coordinating. Yeah,
It
yeah.
would be wonderful.
Yeah.
All right,
Absolutely. Lovely.
Last
Last
one.
Thank you. This is Teresa Thibsa. Are you setting up a working group? 'Cause I think I read there that you were hoping that some kind of people from the Town Council would voluntarily,
Yeah. if anyone was
volunteer.
interested in being on the working group, yes, please.
No.
3 volunteers. 3 volunteers. Right. Excellent. And can you pass on?
I will do,
details?
yes,
Yeah,
Thank
and because I've got a group I run, but I won't speak about it now, but
Okay.
we can, I'll email you about it.
Okay,
Okay.
so you feel it's been worthwhile use of time?
Yeah.
I certainly
you.
feel it's been really, really useful. And I just want to say to you people, thank you so much for what you do. I worked a lot with Clitheroe Town Council while I was at Clitheroe, and I appreciate that councillors get a lot of stick, undeservedly. You know, it's not your fault potholes are in the road. You give your time generously and willingly, and it's very, very much appreciated. Thank you for listening
Thank
to me
you.
this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I have to leave you to your very interesting financial matters. But, so,
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And we all, thank you. Okay, we'll move on then. Item 7, finances.
One thing I will just point out is you will notice there has been a payment for £5,000 for the Elgin Coats Nature Reserve. That was a grant for a path project that they're doing. So you will have seen that payment going out, and obviously that's reflected in the budget summary as well.
And anybody got any queries or questions on the payments for November? David?
Just a quick one. I saw that nature reserve one. I noticed we bought a drone. How exciting. £989 on a drone for roof inspections. I'm sure we could use it for more than that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure we
I'm
will.
sure
Yeah.
we could. Otherwise, we just get a local person who's got one and just say, you know, have some fun up there. But yeah, I'm sure we could use it for marketing and events and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure this you've got plans.
If I do 7B at the same time, on the schedule there, we've obviously got quite a significant overspend on the rental properties. I noticed we've got lots of payments going out for the buildings and things. Is there much more to come? Or are we there or thereabouts?
It's unsure really. The main item in there obviously is the renovations to number 2 Albert Road. Obviously we were hoping to apply for a loan for that. But I think it was decided we'd only go half loan, half earmark reserve, just so that we can pay it off quicker, and then obviously we can benefit from the rental income then after that.
Yes. Yeah.
But obviously until the renovations start, we don't really know if it's going to be any extra
Right,
costs or
Okay. I mean, there are certainly a few earmark reserves that sort of sit around sort of 50% of annual budgets. Some are lower at 25, but you got 1 or 2 budgets there that look like you could revisit them. Certainly from the earmark reserve point of view. But yeah, other than that, I've got no questions, so I'll move both 7A and 7B.
I've just got a couple more questions of the councillors. Yes.
Is the
Brian.
drone insured under any policies we might have?
sorry, what?
Is the drone insured under any policy?
No, but it will go on the, obviously, everything that we buy that's over a certain amount, we put it on the asset list and it goes, yeah, to the insurers, so.
Patricia?
It's I think it's a clerical, it's a mistake on the date. On 7A, it's 25/10/23 staff salaries. On 7B, it's 25/9. I just wanted to point that out, Chair.
Yes, it is, right.
Right, thank you. So David's proposed the
I'll second
budget.
it, Chair.
Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. The next item is fees and charges. That you,
Yeah, this has gone to FES. There's no actual changes to the policy itself. It's just the appendices, and the main things that have changed is on the weddings, the cost of the drinks. We've actually aligned that with what we actually sell them on the bar. So that's why a few of those have gone down slightly.
Any questions? Yes,
Do we
Neil?
have any weddings booked in?
Yeah, we've got about 6 booked in for next year. We had a wedding show on today and we've got 2 booked in for next week as well.
How many was that?
6. Yes, David?
So on the policy itself, as you say, not changed from last year, that's fine. I think in the background bit, you might want to also say, clearly, what do we charge for? We charge for use of this building, use of Primet, etc. So they're the things we're charging for, basically. And so therefore, it's not just in 1.1, it's not really just to deliver local services for the benefit of, but it's also, I think as we mentioned in other parts of the thing, it's also to really to safeguard the future of buildings like this. You know, it's a contribution towards it. We budget for some income, you know, let's try and maximize it and get the best out of it we can. So something about, you know, looking after our assets and our historic buildings, etc., is something we could possibly want in there. I think as well, when it comes to the concept of commercial and fair charging, etc. Obviously, commercial is full whack, so that's fine. When we got on to fair charging, the only other thing that I'm conscious we need to be aware of is, do we actually have the resources? So if everybody came along and said, I qualify for a fair charging thing, you're suddenly having something that either breaks even or actually makes a loss because we're supporting people. So if you say that, do we actually have the necessary resources to do this? So, you know, if somebody wants to use everything in the evening, if suddenly you have bookings in the evenings throughout, you're going to have people here to work overtime, to open up, lock up, look after people, etc. So it's all about the resources. Do we have the necessary and available resources to deliver such services? In 6.3, we talk about any significant changes during the year, such as in costs. Obviously, we know utility costs have gone up quite a bit, and we know it's always nice and warm in this building. So we're burning gas and we're burning electricity, etc., to use it. And yet I noticed we haven't really put up any prices at all, even though we say we're going to do it by inflation at least. So have we taken a view that we don't have any scope to increase the charges to rent the building? That's a sort of question, really.
I think it was mainly because we had increased them. We've increased the hourly charge for the rate, but because of lockdown and everything, I think we decided we weren't going to go sort of inflation, just because we don't want to put people off using the building.
Okay. So in terms of the prices, I mean, in terms of renting this building, for example, we've got these figures of £12 and £15, etc. Have we had any feedback that that's too high?
A lot of people that have inquired about hiring at either this building or Primet, they've kind of said it's quite reasonable. And when we've looked at other venues that you can hire for functions or classes, anything like that, they're all charging around that mark.
Right. Okay.
So we're pretty in line with everywhere else.
Okay. So I suppose we could probably make an argument. We can keep it as it is for the time being, but then obviously see how the bookings come in, gather that sort of feedback about people that inquire, maybe pull a face, go elsewhere, and see if we can factor that into our discussions for next time. When it comes to the fees and charges and the actual schedules, small typo, I'd suggest a hyphen in cone-based. So cone-based for the room and cone-based for community centre. That's it on that one. Don't need to sound that one. On the wedding one, now here's an odd one. I went on, oh yes, one point on the general policy. It says that all our prices will be visible on the website. So Primet's on the website, the wedding's on the website, but the town hall itself, the cost to rent it, are not on the website. I think it almost alludes to it when it talks about you can rent it for weddings or you can hire it. There's no link for hiring to some other document which gives you this sort of information. So when it comes to the wedding, obviously I went to the wedding page on the website, a couple of exciting pictures there, and then the document. And I thought, why don't we jazz that document up a tiny bit more? Because if I was somebody looking at this, I could, send a link to somebody to say, shall we book this? But I'd probably also download the prices and send that to somebody by email, perhaps. So if you potentially have a standalone document from a marketing point of view, get a few exciting pictures, turn it into a sort of booklet. Don't spend any money on printing it, obviously, but just do it as a document there. You can, email around and send to people. I also noticed that somehow apostrophes have disappeared from the previous year's version. Don't know where. So mayor's parlour hire fee should be an apostrophe S. And in the paragraph below, 3 hours use, S apostrophe. I noticed we've sort of simplified things a tiny bit. We've said if additional time is required, there'll be an additional charge of £20 an hour. Now, last year, we said it was £50 an hour. And we also said office and bank holidays was £100 an hour. So why have we gone down to 20?
Because that's the rate that we charge to hire. So we've just brought it in line with that.
Okay.
Thinking that people will be put off in having a longer, maybe having a drinks reception or even an evening reception, due to the cost per hour, the addition.
Right. Okay. All right, that's fine. Another little typo as well. Colne Town Council is a singular entity. It's not a plural entity. So therefore, in that second paragraph, Colne Town Council also requires a bond. And a couple of paragraphs down, Colne Town Council only got one L on the end, by the way, is unable to provide catering. So there's a couple of small typos. Obviously, you make people pay the £250 up front as a bond. This will be refunded subject to terms and conditions. Is there a terms and conditions document? If I'm paying you £250 and I'm cost conscious, what are my terms and conditions? Presumably it's sort of no damage, no whatever, etc., etc.
There is. I think there is, isn't there? Yeah, terms and conditions, yeah.
So just have a check. There's a nice simple document. It shouldn't be too onerous, obviously. You don't want to scare people, do you, really? On the second page, I did have a question about why Prosecco has gone down in price, but now you told me. Capital A for Apple. We're doing orange as capital. I was sort of pleased because obviously last year you noticed about the elegant and delightfully delicious drinks. So you now simplified that. That's fine. Otherwise, it's fine. Good to go.
David, could I just suggest that when you're looking through it and you've got all these typos, it's much easier just to talk to Gina about them rather than to put it in our full council meeting. It's not necessary.
Okay.
Patricia.
Also, Chair, if some people had taken up the places that were offered on FES, it would save quite a few minutes in this meeting.
Patricia?
Take many more hours for mine.
Thank you, Chair. In this, through you, Chair, I'm going to respond to David. You're talking about the hourly rates for both Town Hall and Plymouth. I'm coming back from the Nelson days. Nelson used a block fee of for 4 hours for Unity Hall and also for the Town Hall, which is far greater than what we're charging here in Colne, and their wedding package is greater as well. It's more expensive, so I believe we are very cost effective and very good value for money. Thank you, Chair.
Andrew.
Yeah, I'd just like to allude to what Councillor Davidson about section 6 about reviewing the fees and charges. And he then mentioned about going online. and the fees not being just. Now, surely if we put them online and say this is a fixed price, then that negates that. If we were to change the prices at last minute, it could put people off. So I can understand where if it's not on there, say, you know, please require or please inquire a better price, but leave it as it is for the time being, because at least if there is going to be a change, it's not a online, you've said this price and we're not going to pay that because you've put it up £100 or whatever it is. So I think to actually advertise it at that price takes away section 6 if we can't adjust it.
Okay, well, can we leave it to Gina and the staff to take all the comments on board and see what they come up? Okay. Item 9 is Alkin Court's working group.
Sorry, can we get a
Oh,
proposer in a second though, just obviously subject to the amendments?
Second, if you want.
right, so Patricia. Right, item 9, Alkin Court's working group. It says to elect chairman, vice chairman and members of the Alkin Court's working group. Oh, I think hands are going up.
Can I propose David Clegg to lead the group, please?
I don't think David was that keen on doing that.
I didn't particularly want to go on it, Chairman. But if enough people thought I ought to be on it, then I may reconsider, but I don't particularly want to be on it. But I think there are a few things that we need to bear in mind with this working group. And it doesn't actually say it in the terms of reference, and I think it should do really. It should be quite clear that because FES are the body who are responsible for technically managing the contracts, and this working group relating to the contracts, this working group needs to be a working group of FES, not of the council, and it needs to report to FES. And I think it's important that that goes in. Otherwise, the whole thing will go wrong, and that's part of what was wrong with it before.
Right. Yes,
Thank you, Chair. Could I propose, because obviously David isn't keen on that, could I propose Councillor Alice Mann to be chair of the working group? She's done a lot of work within the garden area of Alkin Court, put a lot of time and effort, and I think she'd be the perfect person to actually chair this group. Oh, that's a proposal.
is there any other? Is there any other proposals?
I was just going to say that if it is a subgroup of FES, then the chair should be someone from
Chairman, the chair does need to be someone from FES because it's got to report back to FES, and it would make sense for the chair of the working group to be a member of FES because they will be at the FES meeting to report back.
Well, who's on FES? Miss Howard? Ryan? Mike? Brenda? Right. Is it possible that we can get the 6 people and then at the first meeting decide who's going to be the chair and vice chair?
It's got to be the chair, the chair, vice chair.
Right.
Well, can we do that now then?
Yeah.
Alice, are you willing to?
Well, she's not on it.
I'm not on the FBS, just saying this is
Sorry.
what's being said, so it sounds like they.
Chair, if David doesn't want to be chair, as David is the chair of the FES, and he's not particularly interested in being chair of the, may I nominate myself as chair?
Okay. Is there any other nominations? What about Glenda? No? It shouldn't be that difficult, should it, to get to get.
Through the chair, we've got one volunteer who's quite willing to, who is on the FAS. Councillor David, who's said he'd rather not be on there.
I think you wouldn't mind being on the work. Is it that you don't want to be on the working group? Well, you don't want to be chair. Is that the thing, David?
As I've said, Chairman, I don't particularly want to be on the group, but if members want me to go on the group, because I've been on it from day one, I will go on it, but I don't particularly want to do.
Right, okay. Well, we've got a nomination of Patricia to be the chair, and Andrew's seconded that, did you? No? Oh, yeah. And what did you say, Andrew?
I was just saying that because Patricia has volunteered and he's been second, Councillor David has said he'd rather not be on it. It would make sense that somebody who wants to be on it is
Yeah.
probably go for it.
Yes, Brian.
Chair, has there been two proposals? Did Glenda second, so shouldn't they both be put forward?
Yeah, she did. Oh dear. Right. I mean, all in favour for we've got Patricia to be the chair, right? So that's been done, and you've been proposed and seconded as chair as well, have you? You are.
Yeah. Been proposed and seconded. So it's Patricia.
So well.
So if you take one at once.
Yeah. Well, we'll let's take one at once, right? So all those in favour of Patricia being the chair of this.
Take it, Chair.
Patricia being chair of the Alkin Courts Working Group.
Are we voting on that, or we voting on Dave afterwards?
Yes. There's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. What's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. All those in favour of David being the chair of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have voted. So it looks to be that Patricia is the chair. Now, vice chair. Yes.
Yeah, Chair, does the vice chair have to be a certified member of FES? Certified in staying on FES? Or can it be?
I don't think.
In that case, if they don't have to be upon it, could I then propose Councillor Mann for vice chair?
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay. Is there any other nominations? No? All those in favour then? Right. Now. We want 3 members. Four members. Can I propose David Clay? the member?
I'll second that.
All those in favour? I also propose David Clark as member because does a lot of work on the park and he knows that park inside and out. Would you be prepared to sit on the committee, David? Yeah.
I'll second that.
I propose
All those-
to
Hmm?
propose you.
I'll second that. All those in favour?
So there's one more place. Yes,
Can I propose Ian Robinson?
Ian, would you be happy to serve on that? Right, okay. Lovely, I think. And can I just say, this is a working group, so if anybody wants to attend, they can. But they won't be able to vote, but be able to discuss, etc. Yeah? So do we all know who's doing what now? Yeah,
I've got the list here. It's myself as chair, Alice Mann as vice chair, David Clegg, David Clamp, Mary Thomas and Ian Robinson.
right. Okay,
I then the name or names of their representative.
We'll have to organise meeting dates. So I'll email some dates out.
Chairman, when we're coming to organising dates, can I make a suggestion? And it's a suggestion to move away from what we did in previous years when we've had a working group for the Alkin Coast Working Group. They have generally met on the afternoon, because it's always met during the day. They have generally met on the afternoon, immediately before the FES meeting being in the evening. And I think that's a little bit unfair on officers because it gives them very little time to get any information. Because sometimes the working group might make suggestions and information can sometimes need to be sought to take it to FES. And to have the meeting of the working group on the afternoon and then FES on the evening is a bit unfair on officers to have to a couple of hours to get all the information that we need. So I think it needs to be on a different day. Maybe a week early.
yeah. What was the date? It was on, was it on a Tuesday? Right. Well, we'll leave it to the staff to work something out, yeah? And I think Dorothy Lord said she wouldn't mind coming on this meet, but she can come as a co-optee, can't she? Because she can't come. Quite a few of them, but she can come when she wants, right? Okay, can we move on to item 10, please?
Okay, so item 10 is the consultation that Pendle are doing for the green space report that they've put through. Various different green spaces have been nominated for Pendle as a whole. I've included 2 documents. One's for Pendle as a whole, the other one's just in Colne. They have asked if we support all the ones that have been mentioned. And it's obviously whether you want to send, as I think we should send a response to the consultation from the council and agree which green spaces we support, if we don't support any, or any, you know, if there's any that we don't support, them just reasons why we don't.
Can I ask Brian, have you got anything to say about this? You've been involved in this, haven't you? With Dewhurst Street, etc.
I think there are 8 local green spaces. I think there are 8 local green spaces nominated in Colne.
And how many got in the tender?
They're all termed. None of them got 100% pass.
Oh,
I think the Rough was nearest with an amber, and the others all had a red mark somewhere, so they got refused really. Nelson had a meeting, public attended, and there was support there for Lenshires, Dewhurst Street, South Valley Drive. Yeah, I think that were it, you know, but there's another 5 in Colne. I'm not sure how many we want to push forward out of this 8, you know, so, you know, if you push all 8, you might not get any. If you push 1 or 2, you might get 1 or 2. So I don't know what the Conservatives have been doing on the Upper Rough, whether they've been pushing that. I guess they have pushed it, but I guess they wanted supporting at the Colne Town Council today, but I'll pass it over today.
Well, as the council, we did propose 3 sites, which I think we should stand by them, obviously, because we put them forward. Really, it's any of the others that they want to know whether we support them or not.
yes,
A
David.
bit more. I had a discussion with Sarah. Obviously, she's the chairman of the advisory committee working group, whatever. She also had a call with Michael Wellick as well, who would obviously help the town council if required. And we asked him what he thought of it. The document as a whole, and obviously specifically from a Colne Town Council point of view as to what to do with the ones. So what he said was, he said, you've got to bear in mind, obviously, the definitions, para 101 and 102. So 102 are all those assessment criteria that they went through. And Pendle, of course, have applied their flowchart, which is, you know, it goes through the various things and it picks up all those paras 101 and 102 later on. As you say, the Upper Rough is a sort of special case because in theory, that's already obviously been supported by Colne Town Council and it's already been to examination as part of the neighbourhood plan. So it was only ruled out on the basis of Pendle housing not being sorted out, and therefore you've got to preserve it for that to be sustainable beyond the plan period. Because the Colne plan obviously runs to 2030, and the Pendle plan is proposed to be 2040. So with the Upper Rough, it's already been assessed by Colne Town Council, the neighbourhood plan examiner. The Pendle Borough Council officers have obviously been through in their report, and they've done everything as a green yes. And they've only reserved the judgment on the housing target, housing sites in the future. It was also assessed, of course, on the planning application that came in over summer that was refused on multiple grounds. So a simple change is to update the description on the Upper Rough to reflect that planning application and its refusal. So that's an easy one to box off. In terms of the other sites, as you say, a mixed bag of sort of responses. I think almost across the board, look at all the other parishes and towns, you see there's a lot of demonstrably specials and extensive tracts of local in characters get no's. First reading, I thought to myself, the reasons given are not absolutely clear cut. So it's clearly a judgment call. If you read Pendle's methodology, they do go in, they say they're not going to do a laboured scoring, you know, this is 5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, etc. So therefore, they've gone for quite a lot of judgment. However, if we want to go back and argue the case for the ones that have been turned down so far, the guidance is clear. We have to basically argue the case and we have to give additional evidence. So you can't just say my gut feeling is it's special, it's local, it's whatever. You've got to say why and give examples. Now, a lot of them do give examples already. So it might be worth just reinforcing those, but it might also be trying to say, is there anything else we can go for? So all the people that know about each of the particular sites, we need to get the evidence from them. And then we as a town council can then put together a summary response to say, we the town council think the following. Now what Michael's offered is that he is happy to have a meeting with interested parties in the next week or so. So the deadline is the 27th, a week on Monday. So he's happy to have a meeting, say, next week. And then essentially he'd want it so that there was a draft response or draft notes which say, we think it is demonstrably special because of ... Don't throw down 20, 30, 40 reasons, because as soon as you start saying no, you start to think, well, no to a whole lot, don't you? So it's almost like focus on your best points and then really major on those. They're the ones that get you across the line. No reason why you can't do all of them, because, you know, if you've got individual reasons, the case by case across each site. So what he said is identify those we want to challenge. So each of the people have got all the ones they like and the ones they know, etc. Decide on what grounds they are, document that, ideally get a draft of the document to him before we arrange a meeting. He can then have a review of that and see what, you know, holds water and what doesn't. And then top and tail and finalise a response on behalf of Colne Town Council by noon on Monday 27th. It's as simple as that, really.
Right, we've got focus on the best points for each one,
Yes.
case by case. Decide on what grounds, document it, and decide on the ones we really want to challenge.
Yeah.
So that's
I think one other point as well is when you come to the sites themselves, there's an idea about why do you want local green space protection? Essentially, you can say it's a valued site, etc., and it's useful to people. But what you're also doing is protecting it from future development. So something like I mentioned last time, a place like the Lenches, for example, has been turned down on Coal Authority, and LCC said it wasn't accessible. not accessible, it's not really local in character, is it? But never mind. But if it's turned down on those grounds, if anybody came for a future planning application, that's what they'd be told. So it would never ever be developed. Something like the Upper Rough, of course, you've got an aggressive landowner, wants to sell it, wants to make his money back, wants to make millions of pounds, but that's been turned down on grounds which possibly may come to appeal. If you've got just a little corner plot here and there, like a Dewhurst Street or one or two other little small ones like that, it's good to have a badge, local green space, but it doesn't necessarily protect you from development because there won't be any development. So it's a case of looking at it on balance, identify the ones that you want to protect and why, and then go into the reasons to support that support.
Yes,
I think
Brian.
if David could tell us which ones he's pushing, if he's pushing any at all. I should be pushing Lenches. I don't know about Bluebell Farm.
Well,
Is that just the two?
the only one, I mean, I had a look at Bluebell Farm. I was surprised to see it there because, you know, it's well into the green belt. It does have a footpath through it, so I can see it from our house, and I can see people using it. But it is well into the green belt. There's green fields all around. It blends with the neighbouring fields, etc. So it doesn't really match those criteria.
Will you be pushing it to Marco Wellock?
Possibly not. No. So I mean, we might ask it, but I think with things like that, you can spot in the Pendle commentary which are the ones that they think there's a judgment call, and which are the ones that are sort of no, definitely not. And they're the ones where we need to think about whether we do what.
So if we listen to David, he's going to push up a rough, possibly not Bluebell Farm. So that leaves 6 outstanding that Pendle Council, Town Council might want to push. We pushed Lenches Briarcliff Avenue before, but it doesn't need, as David says, somebody to put the case forward and put in stronger views than what went in last time, you know, to why we should do it. Now, I've done Dewhurst Street. Now Dewhurst Street was proposed for development in Colne Neighbourhood Development Plan originally, so you did think that there may be building on there at some stage, or there possibly could be. So I have pushed that. So I do want that pushing. You've seen my documentation towards that. Briarcliff Avenue, there was nobody there at Pendle Council last time to talk about Briarcliff Avenue, so I don't know who was pushing that in the first place, and what actually its strengths were to be a local green space. But I think it really needs, somebody needs to take it up, each individual one, as David says, and push it to Marco Wellock. But it does take quite a few hours, and I'm not doing
I mean, people have to tell Gina, and then we'll have to send the stuff to Michael, yeah, and then arrange a meeting before the 27th, won't we? Yeah. Yes,
Thank you, Chair. I've been following this for quite a while now, in fact, quite a few years, and I've got to be careful how I phrase this. It appears this could be a total con job. Right? We are all told by the council, I'm talking the council as a corporate body, this is a community-led process. That's a load of codswallop. This is led by the developers. It appears that the council sat down and said, right, what areas would the developers like to build housing on? We will protect those for the developers. And the Lenches is a classical example that fits every criteria, every single one. In other areas, there'd be no problems. But the council have decided, no, this is going to be land allocation, housing allocation. Doesn't matter what people say, it's just going to get ignored. And I think we need to fight them over this and point out that no, it is a community-led process. The community will make the decision, not the councillors. The council, right? And I think we should stand by that, and we should really fight them. If necessary, go to Secretary of State and say, no, the community of Colne are being conned. They are not being listened to. They're going to have green fields destroyed because people want to make a profit at their expense. End of story.
well, the one's been, the one from the other last time was refused because of the coal board said, and also Lancashire County Council put it on that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, can I just say, I mean, it's not quite that process, because obviously the applicant for the lectures in the past, the Gleeson was, they had their proposals and they withdrew the application because of the coal report. Now, unless the developer's going to spend multi-millions of pounds digging out the coal and then filling it all back in again, so it's all nice and safe, that's never going to happen. So the community-led bit is the bit that starts it off. So that's what we as councillors did, and the volunteer groups that came along. We proposed sites to be green spaces, and that's what they're doing across Pendle. What the planning officers then do is then they obviously make an assessment, supposedly with planning law. Clearly there's a judgment, as we've touched on. They judge something but not special. We judge that they are. So therefore we give them evidence from the community to say why they are special. The officers then advise the Pendle councillors, and the Pendle councillors will then decide yay or nay. So then you've got the whole examination process. The inspector comes along, and obviously that's when the development industry get involved and they say, no, we don't support a housing target of 140. We support a housing target of 12,000 a year. And to do that, you have to have all of these sites to build on. And their logic will be that there is demand. So what we have to do, what the Pendle councils have to do, is to justify why the housing target should be the 140 standard methodology or something very similar to that, and not some wildly inflated double that number, which is the thing that causes us problems anyway, because you have to have sites. You can't turn them down by law if you haven't got the sites available. So we need to get the ammunition, community-led stuff, supply the evidence for that, and then the community and other interested parties to come up with the arguments to say why it should be a lower housing target. Because the way the Pendle plan is drafted at the moment, it could support almost all of these local green spaces if they're proven to be demonstrably special or local in character, because they've already identified the sites that would support the housing target of 140. That's the challenge. And the developers will, just like they did last time with the core strategy and all that kind of thing, and even with the co-neighbourhood plan, you know, they always argue for more and more sites. So it is that battle, you're right. And we need to get the evidence to support why. I mean, I know there are flaws in that housing report, and there's a working group being set up at Pendle to start to explore what those discussions and decisions are going to be. Otherwise, we've got a leg to stand on.
Yes, Andrew, Anthony, sorry.
I agree with a lot of what Ian said. Me and Brian, we attended a meeting at Pendle Borough Council recently to discuss these sites, and I argue it's a case of who decides what site is demonstrably special. It could be special in the eyes of the residents in that area. They could deem that site special, but then the inspector could say, no, who makes it? It should be down to the residents to decide if that site is special to them. It's when the representatives from the Lenches went, they were ignored. They were told to go through the process again, the process that they went through, what was it, I think 3 times? Might be the second, might be the third time. They're told to go through the process again. It feels like to them that they're just being ignored. It's all just being booted down the road. The decision's already been made. They're just being told again, put in your objections again, which they've done for the second, third time, and it's like it. As I've said, the decision has been made.
Well,
So I just want to add as well. We don't feel the people who went and actually assessed, the person who actually went and assessed and made the decision on that, actually did a proper job of it. As Ian noticed, Brian noticed. Sorry, Brian. You noticed when they went, you just took a photograph of the notice board, didn't they? On one of the sites, they didn't bother to actually go around and check. They just took a photograph of the notice board and then didn't do a proper job at all. So what guarantees have got that they're actually going to do?
Well, if we're going to take this off, I would. You all know in your own words which green spaces that you consider to be special. And we've had David saying that you focus not on all the points, but on the best points. And then try and find evidence and document it. So this is quite a few in Waterside, isn't it? I've got Alice and then Brian.
Yeah, this is a question for you, Brian, actually. Did anybody support the South Valley site at the meeting?
Colin Unwin supported South Valley and Anthony supported Brightcliffe Avenue. I supported Dewar Street, but assessors view things differently. And I think on this particular day, the assessor raised the bar quite a bit above what we did when we went through the development plan. He didn't have his rose tinted specs on that particular day.
So Alice, you need to put your it's not what your microphone in a bit.
No, that was just that I just wanted to know whether we were really going to push for the South Valley site, as I do think it is a very important site, being hemmed in by those new developed houses, and it's an area that it looks in danger of being built on.
Well, can you focus on
Yeah,
that?
I suggest Alice speaks to Colin Unwin and takes the paperwork that he has and puts it through on behalf of Hometown Council.
Yeah, are you happy to do that, Alice?
Yes, Colin has got a lot of knowledge about that site.
Right, so, and then you send it to Gina. Lenches, yeah.
Have I seen the stuff you did on Dewar Street? You sent it to me. Do you want to? Yeah.
So are they the three that we're going to sort of
Or is the upper road?
promote? Upper Road,
Right. Avenue,
Dewar
Street, South Valley.
South Valley Drive,
Ch-
Lenches and Dewar
Lenches.
Street.
What-
Yes, Howard.
Where is the site that is being described as the South Valley site?
It was,
South Valley Drive.
you know, sorry. Through. Back to south. On to. I just got it down to this, right, on the street.
Page 56.
I think, Chair, the important thing is to concentrate on the important ones. I think Brightcliffe Avenue, nobody in the right mind is ever going to build on that. I think the difficulty there is that it will be, or could become, just unkempt and not cared for if I don't know whether Pendle cut it altogether, housing or goodness knows who. So it could be that the way around that is that the residents of Brightcliffe, I might call it Brightcliffe Drive before Brightcliffe Avenue, get together and adopt it and look after it and keep it nicely tidy. I think the ones to concentrate on the South Valley are Lenches and Dewhurst Street. I did read Brian's comprehensive reasons for Dewhurst Street being in there, and I think Lenches would do well to have that extra protection. I think Gibb Hill is a slightly different kettle of fish, because that, well, should be shortly or soon, or crossing fingers, toes and everything, be declared a nature reserve, which takes that out of the green spaces thing. And I think it's further complicated by the fact that half of it, or possibly more, is in Nelson and the remaining bits in Cove. So I think the way to protect that is get on with declaring the nature reserve, which brings its own protections. But the South Valley ones that I think to go for are Dewhurst Street and the Lenches.
Also, Ayers House.
That's in Barbary, isn't it? Ayers House. Is it? It is, yeah. It's always underwater. I don't think.
One thing there is to make sure that the pathways through it are the public footpath through it is clear and not, as you said, a foot underwater or
I've been trying to talk to Tom Partridge about that.
danger of getting trampled on by horses. But I don't think that is in the same league as the.
Yes, Alice.
Yeah, I appreciate that we're just going to push the 2 there, but I would really say we need to add the 3rd, the South Valley Drive area. Yeah, it just sounded as though we were just going to do the 2 there. I just want to make it clear that we should really do 3 rather than just
focus on the best bits and decide on what grounds and send it back.
I would just say if there's any that any councillors feel, I don't know whether passionate is the right word, but if you really think that it should be protected, to provide me with some information and some evidence as to why, and then we can just collate it all, and then obviously we can have the meeting with Michael and talk it through them.
Yes, David.
There's a couple of things, Chairman. The first one, going back to somebody's mentioned Ayers House. I don't think Ayers House is at much risk at the moment, unless Pendle Council do something silly like remove the green belt status from it, because Ayers House is actually green belt. So unless they're going to remove the green belt status from it, and I haven't heard that they are, I don't think it's at any great risk. But the other point I want to mention is David started off by mentioning that we get all the facts together and concentrate on the more important at-risk ones that we want to save, which I would agree with. And it's been suggested that we get all the documentation together and then send it to Michael. Now, obviously, there's going to be a cost to that, send it to Michael, because he's not going to do it for nothing. Do we know or have any inclination as to what that cost would be? Because if we are going to go down that line, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but if we are going to go down those lines, in the Cone Neighbourhood Plan budget, what's left of it is £300 and something, which isn't going to be enough to pay for it. So we're going to have to find a budget heading from somewhere, I would think, if we're going to send it to Michael. So how much is it going to be and where's it going to come from?
Council deem it's important. Yes.
I think it's one of those ones. It's if he's given the right information, it's like any professional consultant, they'll charge by the hour or a half day or whatever it might be. So if he's given a nice focused bit of information, provided Colin doesn't download 48 pages, so Michael would spend a whole day reading it. If it's keep focus on the key points, there's no reason why the code response overall shouldn't be just more than a few pages in total. Because in a sense, they've already had the bulk of the information as it is. So all we're doing now is just trying to add a bit of extra stuff to it that doesn't appear to have been reflected or was in addition to what was there before. So hopefully it should be done reasonably efficiently like that. I think the other thing I wanted to say as well, you mentioned about things like Briarcliff Avenue and stuff like that, and the idea that, well, it's owned by Pendle Borough Council apparently, so they are responsible for it, and it's not like to be a development site. But if you want to say if it doesn't become a green space, like any of them don't become green spaces, there's no reason why we can't encourage some other way of looking after it. Get local people involved in it, it promotes the idea that the community value is. So the community value is do something with it. So I think that's another way to use it. It becomes still special even if it doesn't have that formal designation.
Can I just mention Briarcliff Avenue again? Because we pushed it forward as town council as a local green space last time. So I think it'd be a bit of a miss of us if we didn't push it again this time.
Yes, Ian.
Thank you, Chair. I think also there's a lot of sites that have come under threat historically, especially in Waterside, that a lot of people are not actually aware of now. One that springs to mind, and I've gone blank on the street, the land at the back of the railway station. What street's that one? No,
Neil Peel.
no, it's next to Peel Road.
Yeah.
It's there. Yeah. Many years ago, Schuerthorpe wanted to put their children's centre on that site. Their argument was it's not protected, therefore they could put the planning application. Anybody could put the planning application and build on that. It was not protected. Luckily, we managed to convince them to change their minds. So but that's still not protected. It's a valuable space. There was a lot of objections at the time from the local people that it was always used. So we were lucky. The other one is the landing from the Curzon Street. I do know historically that has been put forward in the past as part of the Pendle local plan as suitable for housing. Similarly, in front of Patton Street, that was suitable for housing. Part of the Millennium Green, suitable for housing. I think it's these sites that we need to identify and protect. You know, as I said previously, it's also that in Colne, the only ward that is not protected in any way, shape or form by the Greenbelt, mysteriously just happens to be Waterside. Every other part of Colne is protected. Waterside isn't, and historically, Waterside as always appears, I may be wrong, but it appears to have been a dumping ground for new housing. The new estate, yeah. Oh, it's fantastic for Pendle. It helps tick the boxes that we provided new housing here. It's destroying a lot of green spaces. Do you want to see the rest of that happening to the rest of Colne, to the rest of Waterside, because it's not protected? I think we need to protect a lot more than we have done.
Can I just make it clear that this consultation is to comment on the sites that have been proposed, not to designate additional sites?
Yes.
So that's what I wanted to say. So, but you can always put it in next iteration of Colne neighbourhood development plan if that's what they need to do.
Yeah.
I just make one extra comment about the value of the neighbourhood plans we've got. Because obviously, as the chairman of Colne area, I get a lot of applications to review on delegated approval. So Neil Watson and his officers send me things which say, "Here's a proposed application. What do you think?" And it's obviously assessed against all the Pendle criteria, national criteria, and of course the difference that we've got is that ours has a neighbourhood plan. So they have to assess it against, you know, RCNDP 6 on housing sites, RCNDP 3 on the design code, breaks it all down, makes it so much cleverer when it comes to assessing somebody's application to say, absolutely not, because it doesn't comply with this, that, or the other. So it leads to better housing in the right place. It leads to better quality design amongst those that are proposed. And you see some of the horrors. You do a compare and contrast with Nelson, for example. You know, they haven't got a design code, they haven't got a neighbourhood plan, nothing. And Neil Watson started to say that we have to make decisions on a Pendle-wide basis. So a lot of the things that get through in Nelson, which shouldn't be really approved, to be honest, because they fall foul of guidelines here and guidelines there, there's a judgment call on them. In Colne, we say, well, you may say that from a Pendle point of view, but we have a neighbourhood plan, the design code, chosen houses, chosen locations. Therefore, Colne says no. So we don't get that sort of flippant, messy development that other places in the borough can suffer from. So on 6.5 years of work putting that neighbourhood plan together, that was a damn good piece of work for Colne. And it gives us a lot of protection, a lot of decision making, and the power to decide on what our future is for our town. So give you the more than feeling then.
So we've got South Valley Drive, Dewar Street and Lenches that we're going to say go back and an upper road to say we'll do some more work on and just get down to the best points and etc.
Obviously, it is quite time sensitive.
It
so
is,
we
it
do
is.
need it.
So we need all the information as soon as possible to do that. And shall we put Brightliff Avenue in then? Yeah, okay. Right, is everybody in favour of that? Yeah? Everybody proposed it and seconded it. Thank you, yes, Ian. And for Ian, we've got the neighbourhood plan now, it's made now. And as the time goes on, we can add bits in. Okay, so if you want something, you need to tell us and we can work on it. Okay. So is that everything for that item? Thank you. Rhythm and blues. Oh no. Item 11. Neighbourhood development plan. Yes.
I think it looks like two simple mapping errors, so.
Yes, that's exactly what it
I propose that we
is.
say that Michael's already said, yes, that's the way to do it, so, so we've got the green light to just change them and hit presto. So, yeah, absolutely.
Somebody
Maybe just
propose that, please.
I'll propose it.
Yes, I would second it. All those in favour? Thank you.
I will, yes.
Item 12, the Great British Rhythm and Blues Festival.
So we have now got 3 confirmed venues for next year's festival. We've got Pendle Hippodrome, the Exchange Project Stage and Little Theatres back on board for next year. The Conblue Society have said that we should have a full lineup for the main stages before Christmas. Which obviously is good. We're ahead in comparison to previous years. Tickets went on sale the Saturday of this year's festival. Still tickets are selling already. We've sold 99 tickets so far, and 18 camping pictures. So obviously we are ahead in comparison to previous years. The marketing contract has gone back to Scott Dawson for 2024, and they're also doing some additional marketing between October to December, because we haven't done that in previous years. It wasn't in the original contract. That's the only real update that we've got for next year's festival, but we are up for a Lancashire Tourism Award for this year's festival. We've got a interview tomorrow with the team that manages that to hopefully go ahead and win that award for best large event, I think the category is. But like I said, that's the only real update that we've got for next year's festival so far.
Any questions for Nathan? No? Okay. Next item is planning. The first one is 23/0705/FUL. It's 13A Keithley Road, Colne. It's change of use of upper floors from 1 flat to 2 flats. Anybody?
It seems pretty straightforward. From what I remember, there are no external alterations. So it's just rejigging the inside so that the second and third floors they don't become separate. They become flats in the own right rather than all being part of one. Okay. Just one question that I couldn't find looking at the plans earlier was there's the access, I'm assuming, is to the flats, is the front door. next to the shop window.
Andrew, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was looking online to see where where 13A is, and it comes up with 13 as being a bungalow.
Well, that's behind it. Bungalow, that's a Peter Burton.
So, because you've got the bungalow on the right, which is 13, so across the way you've got the old hairdresser shop. So I take it that's 13A.
Yeah, it's the one on the corner of. It's not Robert Staff, get the name of the street. It's the street that
next to the
the fold.
the
Vauxhall Fold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just said when I looked on
It was-
13, it said bungalow. It's
Yeah.
like
It was the
Strange.
vintage shop.
yeah.
No, je ne sais quoi is the one down here.
Oh,
But it was a
It used to be called vintage. but it's
it was an
hairdressers,
antique
beauty
an
shop.
antique boutique, and then latterly hairdressers.
But we're all right. No
Or-
comment. No comment. Right, the next one is 23/067 stroke FUL. The exchange Spring Lane Cole. Well, we all know that building, don't we? Yes, I've got Andrew and then Ian.
can I ask? I know it says on here to be supported living. Is that what kind of supported living? Who is it aimed for? Because is it elderly or is it going to be?
I'm trying to think of the phrase they use in the application, but it's for people who are either on the autistic spectrum or that need supported living. So I think the question of parking is not a problem in this area, and I think from memory, if Nathan can just put the plate up, the drawing up a bit, you can see there is room in the back for staff parking, which I think is what it says on the associated paperwork with it. Having said that, I think that, sorry Nathan, can you bring it back down again? The problem for me are those three dormer windows, but I suspect that is because to get light to that part of the building, it is in the neighbourhood plan as a non-designated heritage asset, but I was trying to remember when, well, not remember when it was built, but I'm sure there used to be a sign on it with a date on, and I suspect it's probably only 30s. I don't know. 30s, yeah. So it's whether the possible benefit of the use of it outweighs the maybe unsightliness, if that's the right word, of those three dormers. There is a slight adjustment around the ground floor, the main door and the windows either side, but that's really minor compared to the dormers.
What do we think? Okay. Ian?
Hey, Chair, is this the old Dole office?
Yes.
I thought so. Yeah, I think it's good because obviously at the moment it is looking a bit dilapidated now, and to bring it back into use. And by the look of it, I think they're planning on, to a great extent, retaining the exterior sort of appearance. And I think this is incredible, especially if it's for people who are considered to be neurodivergent, and I think that's the latest buzzword. And we really do need those kind of facilities. It's in a very good area for it. The only problem with that is if they've got to be very, very happy to actually walk up Spring Lane. It's a bit of a slog, but I think this is one that I think we should support fully.
Are we okay? Yes, Alice.
Yeah, I think it's a great place for this type of business. However, could we mention those dormers? Can we just sort of say, is there any way of having a different design? I think they're the square types, aren't they? Can't quite.
I'm not
see.
sure whether it's the design or just because they're there. No,
The dormers are additional. The three on the main building and the one on the building at the left.
I think they're the block type of dormer, which are a little ugly.
I mean,
what's the consensus here? Yes,
I mean, they could make them maybe match the windows on the ground floor and put a bit of a rounded edge on the top. But yeah, it would look a bit.
I was going to suggest, as what Dave's just said, if it matches the appearance of the rest of the building and doesn't look out of place, i.e., like you don't want something that looks modern on a stone build, as long as it fits in.
If people go on the planning portal, it lists on there all the people that it gives the definition of sheltered accommodation, which is about a mile long, but it then goes into what this building is. I can't remember it more off the top of my head.
but if we say the windows, the dormers should be in keeping with the rest of the building. The next one is 23 stroke 0731 stroke HHO. It's 5 Indian Close Cone. Extension of a single story rear extension. Is there any more on Indian? It's got an extension. I don't
So this is the house right in the corner. As you go down Indian, it's the last house on there. That is a picture of the extension, and what it's replacing is a sort of conservatory type thing, and this is tons better than that. As you can see on the, well, you can't read the writing. I expanded the thing on the screen, and one of those little arrows going down says stonework to match existing on the building. So I think it's fine, and it's better than what is there now. And even if it wasn't, you have great difficulty spotting it from Vibury Way or the motorway.
Okay, you're all right with that. The next one is 23 stroke 0737 FUL. It's Farlath Foam, Coalpit Lane, Colne. It's extension to existing agricultural building. Yes, Ian.
Thanks, Chair. Obviously, it's for agricultural use. It's not going to, it's not going to cause a problem because it is obviously a working farm. And I can't see an issue with this. You know, yes, it is visible and that, but I don't think it's going to detract from the actual area.
What colour is it going to be?
Probably standard agricultural, usually green.
Is it green or grey?
It's only that little bit at the end of the.
All right. Has anybody any?
If we were in the daytime, you'd probably spot it out the window.
All right. Are we okay with that? See, it's just a little bit stuck on the end. Right, the last one's 23 stroke 0752 stroke FUL, Boundary Mill of Abbey Way, Colne. Installation of solar PV system to existing roof areas.
Should welcome it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Good. Item 14, have we had any correspondence?
Yes, there is some correspondence received. It's from LCC regarding bus shelter that's on Byron Road. It is the one that was formerly Prime Site, that is in a bit of a state at the moment, I think. LCC want to remove the bus shelter and replace it with one of the ones that they're using on the highways. And even though they weren't transferred to us from Pendle, they just want our okay for them to do so. I did say I don't think I could foresee any problems, but
David?
Chairman, it's not our bus shelter, never has been. LCC currently own it, and as far as I'm concerned, they can do what they want with it. They can take it down and replace it, put a smaller one up, because it is a bit massive for the amount of passengers it'll ever cater for there. So I think
Yeah.
it could do with being a smaller one if they wanted.
they have said that they will obviously take ownership going forward and maintain it.
Well,
Can I have a roof?
who knows?
They have a,
Design of the new,
I think so.
this is a huge box, it's got broken windows up the top. Yeah,
Well,
if
if
you
it's,
can eliminate broken windows, but still keep it somehow dry, that would be lovely.
I don't know, but
It's easy to
if,
maintain.
if it's one with all the windows and they keep getting broken, we'll have to keep, because you have to keep going on it, or else they've got to get left, don't they? Any other correspondence? No? The next item is items for a future month's agenda. Neil, were you going to have something?
Got a plea from Sarah to schedule some Treasure Our Town things. That's when convenient.
Okay. Who's going to put some dates and times?
Yeah.
And we should leave it, sense. Say something about it. So we decide when we want to.
I
Can't remember.
don't think we did, but I think it was just decided that we should
We should have
forward some dates. Choose which one.
Yeah.
The best.
Well, it'll have to be daytime, obviously, because it gets dark at 5 o'clock now, so it's either be after weekend or afternoon or morning. So you'll have to put it in. The last item is date and time of next regular meeting, which is 19th of December at 7 o'clock. So thank you.